But this is a tremendous.
What is happening, my good people? Greetings. How are you? How's it going? How's everybody doing out there? What is the latest and greatest? Hope everybody's doing well, feeling fantastic and excellent spirits here on another Wednesday. That's right. It's already been a week. I felt like it's been a month since the last time I was on. And of course, with the date being May 6th, 2026, just a pleasure and honor to be back, which I'll get into in a minute. My little disappearing act over the last few days. But with that being said, I appreciate you all stopping by, getting your fill on everything that's happening in the world of sports. I'm pumped up. I'm jacked up. I'm ready to go. And before I even get to that, I got to start off by saying, share your thoughts in the chat room. As you know, my regulars who are already in the room, I see the comments already starting to load. So I appreciate you all for contributing. It's important. This is where we have the back and forth. This is your opportunity to get at me. And even if you don't happen to be here live and you're watching the replay, then you can also do that too, which is right here. Leave a comment because I'll be more than happy to follow up. I will get your comments even if you happen to be watching this later this afternoon, tonight, tomorrow, maybe even over the weekend, whatever it may be. Please don't be shy. Be able to leave a comment and I will definitely follow up. Now, before I get to the sports, and I don't have a graphic for this, so I just figured I'll go blank here. Your boy was away over the last few days. I got back Monday. I was actually in Guatemala. And you're probably thinking, Guatemala? What the hell's in Guatemala? Well, we were celebrating. My lovely wife, her dear friend that she worked with, Jessica, and her now groom, Philip. Great people, wonderful, probably one of the best, and that even goes for my wedding. One of the best weddings I ever went to. And I won't go through all the details, but it was my first time in Guatemala. Stood in a town called Antigua from Thursday afternoon to Sunday morning, then had to take a shuttle about 3 hours north and west to another town, which was by a lake called Panajachel, which was beautiful. That was a cloudy day. And then we had to take a shuttle from there to the hotel on Monday to fly back, which I was able to watch the first half of the Knick game, considering it was an afternoon flight. But the weather was great. I tell you, Antigua, Guatemala is a very underrated destination to go to. It was beautiful. The weather was great. It's an old town feel, beautiful structure. Everything was within walking distance. The food was fantastic. They have so many different events, so many different things that you can get involved with. And it's good to stay for about 3 or 4 days, which is even better because you can get to do anything. You get to explore. You can get to hike. You can get to take jade classes, make your own jade. You could actually make your own chocolate because the cacao is big down there. They have a great pool called Aqua. It's a little bit of a sanctuary where it has trees and cabanas. I tell you, I loved it. I definitely want to go back. So that's what I was doing. That's why I didn't have a podcast last Thursday or even this past Monday. And even though I wanted to put a live stream out yesterday, which got, for whatever reason, aborted, black screen, connection here out in my neighborhood, which I've walked the dog several times and I didn't have any disruptions. But with that being said, it was a situation where the live stream didn't go through. I wanted to even kind of get into the trip more then as opposed to now. But that's the reason why I was absent and not in front of this microphone or being involved with what is going on with sports. You know, I got my fingers on the pulse with it. So that goes without saying, but at least not doing it in a timely fashion. But here I am, back on the scene, crispy and clean, the old line from the Black Sheep Choice Is Yours song. So before I get to the sports, let's get to the comments. And I love what J-Rod said here, which I'll definitely touch on. Without a doubt, this is someone talking for the outside. No offense to you, sir. All you New York sports fans are crazy. Go blue. But he did follow up and was fair. To be fair, in my opinion, to be a sports fan, you have to be a little crazy, which is absolutely right. As you've seen how I exhibited my behavior when it comes to my teams, which unfortunately, it's all been negative. And maybe I'll touch on the Celtics a little bit later on. I understand the Celtics are old news right now, despite the fact that Jaylen Brown and what he had to say after the Game 7 loss there on Saturday night. I'll even detail, maybe I will talk about the Celtics a little bit, just to kind of chronicle how my vacation time, which fell that day, Saturday, Game 7, you know what, maybe I'll talk about that a little bit later on. I didn't even put up a graphic for it. But how that factored into my thinking, how I had to even follow this game. It was certainly a challenge, etc. So I will talk about that later on. Yes, Fishing Angel, good afternoon to you. Pistons won last night. You knew they were winning. And yes, the Pistons, I think they're going to be in good shape here. So let's go. Like J-Rod says, yes, after what happened there yesterday. And I even had to follow up. Look, who's that guy there in the bottom left of the screen? Yeah, I don't know why I put my comment up there. But anyway, bio, greetings, and also salute to Jay and Fishing Angel, as well as to Val. Of course, these are my diehards here, people. And yes, somebody's pumped up about Detroit basketball. Is that guy still doing the games there? That is the in-arena public address announcer. I don't remember his name. That goes back to the, the early 2000s when they played at Auburn Hills, and how when a ball was turned over, he would always scream, Detroit basketball. I wonder if he's still there. Yes, the gang is back together. I love it. And for those who are just joining on, I see we got more than 10 people here. Hang out with us because this is going to be a good time. We're going to have a lot of fun, a lot of back and forth, etc. Now, yes, what happened to my short yesterday? Here I am walking around the neighborhood, which I've done plenty of times, and I've had my live streams out in the street, but for whatever the reason, it crapped out, which was also the reason why I didn't do the live stream Sunday after the Celtic loss, because I didn't know what the connection was going to be like and traveling and all that. So unfortunately, I had to forego that. But yeah, I guess technology said, not today, J-Reels. They gave me the stiff arm. I think that's what it was, but we shall see. You two are better people than me because I'm shaking their hand and saying congratulations, not a chance, and now I'm going. Hey, listen, and you know, I hear what you're saying there, J-Rod. And no, and these are great people, and they're friends of my wife. So that's the only connection I have with them. And listen, I get it, teach his own. And a lot of people have said Guatemala. And people are like, what's in Guatemala? But let me tell you something. And I talked about this even briefly yesterday on the live stream that I had to get aborted out in the street. Didn't know what to expect. Never been. Read great things about it. But obviously you never know until you try. And sometimes you got to get out of that bubble. You got to get out of that comfort zone. And I get it. And I'm not saying that to you, Jay, Fishing Angel, etc. I get it. You're tried and true. Michigan diehard. All respect. But right, my preconceived notion going in, it's like, all right. And based on the stuff that I even heard from them, because they've traveled there several times, and that's the reason why they had the wedding in Guatemala. That was a situation where it's like, all right, we're going to see what it's like. We're going to be there a few days. There's activities, there's things to do, etc. And what did I come away with? I would go back tomorrow. Not to live. I'm just talking about just to go and visit. And I even shared a little bit yesterday, which I'll delve into a little bit, where your dollar goes a long way down there, which makes you think like, geez, seriously? And I get it. It's Guatemala. It's not the U.S. It's not going to, let's say, to maybe even London. And not only that, I went to Italy 3 years ago, 2023. And the same could be said for even Paris, but even more so Italy, where my wife and I, we had salad, 2 entrees, a bottle of wine. What did that cost in American dollars? Just before the tip. With wine, $35. Where in the United States are you going to even get that? You're not getting that in New York, that's for damn sure. LA, I'm sure Bio, you can attest. Miami, Vegas, whatever. There's no way. The bottle of wine is going to cost you $30 or $35. I mean, it's a joke. And it makes you appreciate. It does make you appreciate being home, and at the same time makes you think, well, why can't we do this here? But again, without getting into it, America's just a whole different beast in that regard. They're not going to look at it and say, oh, hey, And yeah, you want to go to a decent restaurant. You don't want to go to not to knock the Olive Gardens of the world or Applebee's or whatever, but those are, come on, are those really restaurants, people? I'm not eating there. But anyway, but that's what happens when you go away and you get to see, like, wait a minute, this is what? You appreciate that more. And you say to yourself, wow, my dollar goes a lot further than here in the States where forget about it. It's please. Geez. Anyway, but yes, and I'm going to get to that, Val. The Sharks, they got the second pick. And think about that. 2023, Will Smith was the 4th overall pick. Macklin Celebrini in 24 was the number 1 overall pick. Michael Misa last year, number 2, and they get the number 2 pick again. Now, imagine when they got the number 1 pick, Gavin McKenna. I'm going to get to that later on with the, with the draft. Great Willie Mays. Yes, he would have been 95. I did see that. Absolutely. They're doing a cocaine. No, I did not. I have not done any drugs in my life, thank God. I did not see any or even hear anybody on the street, trying to sell drugs. But no, but that's a good one there, J-Rod. Lakers played hard, but they're done. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's one of those things that even if they play competitive and win a game, right, if you're a Laker fan, it's like, come on. Just like it was the Celtics. Oh, you're competitive, you win a game. No, we're about winning championships, despite the fact that the other team is better. And the thing is, OKC didn't really play their best game last night. And it led throughout. SGA, what do you have, 18 points in a game? I forgot how many turnovers, but I know, Bio, it's tough. Zip, what is happening? Good to see you. Mets are doing better than the Giants. Well, they won 3 or 4 at the start, but we're right behind you in the standings there. Now, granted, you play in the NL West and the AL East, you know that. But hell yes, his trademark. Saying that, no. Yeah. Absolutely. All right, let me get a couple more, and then I got to get to my sports here. Can't believe our son's going to be 16 May 8th. Oh, yes, that's right. That's when my grandson's birthday is 2 days from now. I know. Where does the time go? I remember going to his first birthday, which would be 10 years ago, obviously this coming Friday. And, yeah, it just zooms. I don't even know. I don't care if my sister getting married in the North Pole. Hey, I hear you, Jay. Hey, teach his own, man. Nice going to a wedding going on next year. Are you really, Zip? If you could say where, what town, I'd be curious. Because if it's in Antigua, I'm telling you, that place is fantastic. Put it this way. People told me I had to go to a Starbucks and a McDonald's. And I was like, first, I don't drink coffee, as you know. McDonald's, I don't eat that either. Because they have a garden patio area that is zen-like. And believe it or not, that is the truth. It's mind-boggling. Maybe I should have actually posted that or put that up here. But you go to the Starbucks and they have rocking chairs. They have like these egg-like swing. It's hard to explain, but yeah, it was. They don't have Starbucks like that here in the States. That's for sure. I guess it'll all depend on the price of me. I think it's slapping the face saying you're invited to our wedding. No, I understand the destination wedding is always tricky because it's like, wow. Not only are we going to your wedding, but we have to fly to it, hotel, blah, blah. No, I get that. All valid. But, hey, it's an experience that I'll always remember, even if I never go back. But I hear what you're saying, Jay. Yes, the Derby was awesome. I know I should talk about that. I didn't put that in the graphic because I got so much to discuss. I may touch on that later, but you're right about that. And Golden Temple was your winner. Now, here's the thing. Is Golden Temple going to race a week from the Saturday at the Preakness? Right now, they haven't said just yet. And congratulations to the jockey and the trainer. I know the trainer is the first woman trainer to win the Kentucky Derby. I didn't even talk about that yesterday in the live, but congratulations to her. And I believe it was also a woman jockey. So that is historical. Fantastic. And I love it. But yeah, I'll touch on that later on. Let me see. Did I skip something here? Oh, Jaron wants the Knicks. Yeah, you'd rather have the Knicks, not the Sixers. Yeah, I want to see Detroit and the Knicks, just so I can see the Knicks get let down again. Oh, that'd be great. And Fishing Angel, yes, of course. I wasn't right about the score, 95-30. Oh, all right. Well, what was the final of that game last night? 111-101? Yeah, 111-101. 95-30. I love Fishing Angel's predictions. The Wi-Fi was terrible. I stood in the hotel, and not to denigrate the hotel because they also provided free breakfast, and the breakfast was really good. I stood at this hotel called the El Carmen, and the Wi-Fi, of course, is going to be unsecured, which I don't like. Not that I'm doing bank transactions down there I'm just doing sports stuff, checking YouTube, trying to post stuff. But the Wi-Fi in the hotel was very lackluster. You get the 3 bars, then it goes to 2, then it goes to 1, then it goes to 3. It was all over the place. So that's why I was afraid to do it at the hotel. Then I thought about going out in the street because a lot of those videos I did on the street up against the door because the sidewalks are very thin. So it's not like I could stand on the sidewalk and take out the whole sidewalk. But thankfully, there was that doorway where I could take a step back and record. But yeah, it wasn't great. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to do a live stream. I definitely wanted to do a live stream down there, but I just didn't want to be choppy, just like it was yesterday in my neighborhood, which I've done a million times. But yeah, so it wasn't fantastic, bio, to say the least. Addicted to chocolate milk. Hey, chocolate milk's great. Haven't got the full info, just saved the date invite. Let you know. Yeah, let me know, Zip. I'll definitely tell you, man. It's going to be great. All right, let me get to some sports here. Fishing Angel, I see you. What's called coming up, Val. I'll get to that in a moment. I just want to get started here and get rolling. I love the comments. For those jumping in, I see you got a dozen in the room, so please don't be shy. Leave your comments. Let's get right to it. NBA second round game 1's in the books. And what is there really to discuss? Not a whole hell of a lot. When you look back last night, you had the Pistons, Cavs. I know the game was tied, about 5 minutes left to go, but James Harden with his turnovers. I'm not going to get on James Harden like I always have. It's game 1. Let me see as you get deep into the series and how he's going to perform. But I really think that the Pistons are going to win this series. And I think that the Pistons, based on what we saw there Friday, where it looked like they were dead in the water, 62-38, third quarter, early in third. And when I saw that score, and Friday night, I was out. They had a welcome dinner prior to the wedding. And I saw that score, and I said, you got to be kidding. And I said, I guess I'm going to have to destroy the Pistons the next day. And then little did I know that when I saw the final, I said, what the hell happened? So I, of course, had to go back, do my research, and saw that Orlando could not throw the ball in the ocean off a boat. They missed, 26 straight shots, and I believe were, 4 for 34 or whatever the number was in the second half? And that's why Jamal Mosley got fired. And, yeah, that is on the coach. You have to win that game. All right, Detroit's going to make a run. You think they're going to cut it, make it close, but you can't get a basket? And, again, I didn't watch. I saw some highlights, but I can watch the full game highlights and get an idea, but you got to read the box score. You got to, of course, read articles. You got to get into all that to really get a feel, even if you didn't watch. And Lord knows, I'll talk about that, I guess, with the Celtics in a little bit. But that was just an atrocious job by the team, and you can't fire the players. That was on the coach because he could have done something, anything. And I know he didn't have Franz Wagner in the game, but he could have done anything to try to get his team to draw a foul, attack the basket, stop playing passive. They had a huge lead. It's in their building. Oh, my God. That was just deplorable. But now the Pistons have some life. And I think they're going to win. Prior to the series, I know I didn't make a prediction. Or maybe I started to yesterday. No, as a matter of fact, I did at the start of the live stream. I thought the Pistons would win in 6. Maybe it goes 7. I don't know. But I think 6 is a safe bet. And then the Lakers, what could you say? The Lakers, I want to give them a shot, but it's hard. If Austin Reeves is going to go 3 for 16 the way he did yesterday, and that wasn't even a B game by the Thunder, what are you going to say? Thunder were in control. Now, you look at the final score, 108-90. Oh, they ran him out of the building. They didn't run him out of the building, but they were methodical. They did what they had to do. And what more can you say? Maybe they had a little bit of rust because they hadn't played in a week, but if the Lakers, they need Luka back if they have any shot to win the series, and we haven't seen Luka to this point. I don't even know if we're going to see him. So that's number 1. Number 2, LeBron can't do it all, as we all know. So what more can you say about the Lakers in that regard? They're going to need Marcus Smart to hit 5 threes a game. They're going to need Luke Kennard to probably hit 5 to 7 threes a game. They're going to need Rui Hachimura. They're going to need a whole complete effort. DeAndre Ayton, can he show up? I get it that Chet Holmgren's on the other side there to match his height. And we know DeAndre Ayton, I hate to say it, is about him. And this has nothing to do with him being a Laker, but you can even go back to his days with the Suns. And yeah, he's had his moments, but for a guy who was a number 1 overall pick, he should be a lot better than for his size, his ability. But again, players can have the ability, players can have the IQ, etc. But what it all boils down to, what's in his chest? You got to have heart. And he hasn't really shown that. And maybe a little bit of the IQ isn't all there together with him as well, because him coming out of college, out of Arizona, a lot of it is going to look at his ability. And he has ability, but does he have the testicular and intestinal fortitude? Haven't seen that with him. So that's why I think it's going to be tough sledding for the Lakers here. And I gave the Lakers 1 game. Could the Thunder sweep? I think they can. Listen, if they're going to continue with a B game, I think the Lakers will win one of those games. But if they're going to be B plus or A minus, you would think they're going to sweep them. And as far as the games on Monday, now the Knick game was that hangover by the Sixers from what happened there over the weekend, coming back from that 3-1 deficit against the Celtics. I'm going to attribute it to that. And the Knicks had a couple extra days off. Now, everybody's going crazy. I'm going to get to the Knicks in a moment with the fans, so trust me. But when you look at what the Sixers had to overcome, I'm going to give them a pass for game 1. Now, tonight they get smoked. Forget about it. To me, they got to be in the game in the final few minutes, whether up or down by a basket. Because if they're not, then they're frauds. And as I said on my shorts the other day, and I'll say it again, to me, winning that series against the Celtics, that was their NBA Finals. And the answers that the Celtics were unable to provide as far as slowing down or even stopping Joel Embiid, there weren't any. Where the Knicks, they have bigs. They have Karl-Anthony Towns. All right, he's not Bill Russell, I get it. And they have Mitchell Robinson, who's a better defensive player than Towns is. And I also understand that those guys are always in foul trouble, but that's what the Sixers need to do. And they actually had Towns in foul trouble early on. He had 2 fouls in the first 4 or 5 minutes of the game. But Jalen Brunson was on fire shooting the basketball, throwing Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges when he's making threes. I mean, really? And let's see what happens tonight in game 2. And then the other game, which I find, or the other series, Minnesota, Anthony Edwards coming back, shot well in limited minutes. But here's the thing. For Wemby to come out to say that he used too much energy throughout the course of the game, and mind you, he played 40 minutes. This isn't a regular season anymore where you're going to play 29 minutes and they're going to be manageable. That's not the case. And I don't want to go as far as saying he was complaining, but he did make a mention that, I was using too much energy on one side of the floor. What? Because you had 12 blocks, which is an NBA playoff record? God bless him for that. But he shouldn't be going 0 for 8 from 3. I understand the NBA, it's all about three-point shooting, and obviously he could shoot from behind the arc, but his game shouldn't be predicated on being beyond the perimeter. Beyond the perimeter. Let me get my tongue unfurled here. He's a guy that should be playing low block, and if he's going to be playing out in the perimeter, then yeah, I can see on an occasion, or he's going to try to break down his defender as a guy at 7'4", which is hard to fathom. But he's going to be asked to do whatever it takes to win games. So if that means he's going to block 12 or 15 shots, or if he's going to take 20 shots or play 40, 42 minutes, this is the playoffs. And the one thing you got to give credit to Minnesota, that team is battle-tested. Now, they haven't won anything. They've been in conference finals back-to-back years, but they know how to win. And that coach, you got to give it up. Chris Finch is very underrated, maybe not in basketball fan circles, but when you think about the top coaches in the sport, obviously a lot of people are going to look to, Eric Spoelstra. Really? Obviously, he's been in a couple finals and recently, and obviously he went to 4 straight back in the 2010s when he had LeBron there. But when people think about top coaches, they're going to think about Steve Kerr. They're going to think about a guy like Spoelstra. I'm just going to throw him out there. Mitch Johnson, not on a lot of people's radar, the Spurs coach, but people are going to look at him. Billy Donovan, who did nothing in Chicago, let's face it, but they're going to look at his track record, OKC, you want to even go back to his college days, where now Chris Finch, and I understand he's got to get to a final. And that's not to say they're going to win this series. I thought it was going to be a 5-game series, and this was before I thought Anthony Edwards was coming back. And that's not to say the Spurs can't win 4 straight, so I got to stick with that. But Minnesota knows the way around winning, and they do have a guy that could at least keep Wembanyama at bay and Rudy Gobert. So now you got a series, and this is why I think it's going to be fascinating. So that's what you have there with the first rounds. And to me, tonight is going to be telling because I'm not worried about Minnesota OKC Minnesota San Antonio. I would think San Antonio is going to win tonight. That'll even the series. Let's see what the Sixers are going to do. All right, I don't want to hear about them beat. I'm tired. Oh, I'm still beat up. No. And that's the other thing too. Because that series was so big against the Celtics and them winning that, you mean to tell me that Embiid's going to last another series or 2 series to get to a final? That man is literally falling down every play. You could talk about the flopping, and I guess I got to get to Jaylen Brown in a minute. But let's face it. This second round could be a snooze, especially if the Knicks win tonight and if the other series goes as expected, where OKC, you would think, is going to jump out to a 2-0 series lead, and then the Pistons are going to do the same. So we'll touch more on that, obviously, when we get to the podcast tomorrow. But that's the first round in a big, giant nutshell. Now, let me get to this real quick. As we know, the Knicks dominated, won by 39. That game there on Thursday night, I was at a little bit of a wine tasting, almost kind of like another pre-welcome dinner to, it wasn't a dinner, but it was just some cocktails at this vintage store in Guatemala. And I'm looking on my phone to check these scores. The Knick game was on. And, of course, the Celtics were playing the Sixers at 8 o'clock, which was 6 o'clock their time. And that was the one thing. I was 2 time zones behind. So the Knick game started at 5 o'clock Guatemala time. So here I am. I'm arriving at the place, and I'm getting scores, which I loved. But I saw a score, 48-15. I said, did the Hawks even show up? They might as well have had J-Rod, Bio, myself, Zip. We should have been on the Hawks if that was the case. And then I'm getting these scores, a 47-point halftime lead. I saw at one point 101-41. I just, Quinn Snyder, what did you do? Where did your team go? But anyway, that's besides the point. So now you know this graphic. The Knick fans, right now, they need to chill out. And this goes to more the 18 to 30-year-old Knick fan. And even to a certain extent, I understand Spike Lee. He's been a Knick fan forever, so you can't knock him. Stephen A., another one. And you can look at Ben Stiller, and he wasn't there at the game the other night because of the Met Gala. And I know Timothée Chalamet was there. And right, celebrities aside. But the Knick fans are just, to me, they're delusional. They're desperate. They're out of control. Because I could show you some on the street, and I understand they're doing it, embellishing it a little bit more for the cameras, etc. But they think that they should be putting up the NBA Finals tickets right now. And do they realize that they are the Knicks? Do they realize that last year, when they were up 111-94 with about 4 minutes to go, and up 9 with less than 2 minutes to go to Indiana in Game 1, and I understand it took a miraculous shot by Tyrese Halliburton in the conference finals for the ball that hit the back of the rim and go 9 miles high before it went through the hoop. I get that. But you would think they've learned their lesson. But they haven't. And that's why I'm really, and listen, I have no love for the Sixers. I am rooting big time for the Sixers to win this game tonight because I want it 1-1 to go to Philadelphia. And I get it. Joel Embiid came out with the comment, oh, don't let the Knicks fans buy the tickets. And the Philly fan, I can see it. The Knicks fan is going to, or I'm sure there's going to be somebody in the grasp of those tickets. And heaven forbid if they go up 2-0 the Knicks, because they're not going to want to go to the games. Because if the Knicks fan says, I'll pay double for the tickets that you may have, what do you think a Philly fan is going to do? Here you go, sir. Goodbye. And it is going to be Madison Square Garden South Friday and Sunday. That's why you need to have that series tied at 1. So we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen there. But as far as the fans go, and this goes for all the fans. Yankee fans over the moon right now. I can touch on them later because I'll go through my Major League Baseball segment. But the Yankee fans already, World Series, this and that. And what I like to remind the Yankee fan, in 2022, they started off their year. They were 51-18, and their high water mark just 15 games later, they were 61-23. That even on the podcast, and you got to go back in the archives, I was saying, oh my God, is this the 98 Yankees reincarnated? They were 61-23, more than halfway of the season. Do the math. They were on pace to win 118 games. And I was, pacing myself. And for those who didn't follow me back then, or obviously with the podcast, the live streams, etc., I kept calm. I wasn't like, oh my God, it's going to be a special year. And I was objective. I didn't pound on the Yankees. I didn't throw ice cold water. Maybe I did once or twice. I had to. But yeah, but the Yankee fans right now, they're out of their gourd. It's May 6th. Can we pipe down? The American League is atrocious. All right, I'm getting out of pocket here. My point in saying all this is that the Yankee fans are crazy. They're going ecstatic. Oh, we want the Dodgers. Well, I haven't really heard that, but I'm sure they're probably thinking that. Can we get to Memorial Day first? Can we get to the 4th of July? Because all I got to do is bring that up to the Yankee fan, and they can say, oh, but that was 4 years ago. Ha, ha, ha. Well, think about it. Still had pretty much the same cast of characters. I understand Ben Rice wasn't on the team, but you had Giancarlo. You had, who's on the IL, I might add. You had Aaron Judge. You had Garrett Cole, who's coming back. So it's not as if this team, it's a whole new team. But the old saying, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. So good. I hope the Yankees are up there 110-52. And in 2022, I haven't got swept by the Astros in the ALCS. So I don't want to hear it. All right, I guess I got to get to the Celtics, and I'll get your comments before I move on to the NHL. So Saturday night, the game started 7 o'clock, 5 o'clock, Guatemala time. Now, here I am. I'm dying because I can't watch the game. I had my phone. Now, we were in this old church, which was beautiful, but I had no Wi-Fi. I was on this 5G, whatever it was, and I pull up the first score, and I see that it was 15-6. And then I see 17-6. And then I just see it getting worse, 19-8. I'm like, oh, geez. So then I had to go back to check the play-by-play. And it was, for the start, they got out of the gate 9-0. I'm like, oh, my goodness. So now, the next time I check the score was at halftime. Because now we went from the church to this beautiful indoor. It was indoor-outdoor. It was indoor, but it was open, this plaza. I mean, it was just unbelievable. I guess maybe tomorrow I'll pull up the video. I have to transfer from my phone to my laptop so you get to see, so I can show you. So now I'm in this plaza. The signal's even worse. And as a matter of fact, here, I even took some screenshots. You ready for this? I could do this. I know it's not the same. Just bear with me. Because I had to take the screenshots just to show you guys. Or just to show proof. All right. So, and you know what? What the hell? You ready for grins and giggles? So now, this is the wife and I, and this is the outside of the church. That picture's blurry? Or is that? No, it's not blurry. So here's the outside of the church. I know it's going to probably look a little bit blurry. It's not going to focus. All right. So that's number one. Now, here's where the inside of it was, which was a beautiful space. I mean, you couldn't have picked a better place. And this is video. So, yeah, you see that there's a sky. It's all in this plaza, right? So now that you see that, I have zero service. So, wait, let me go back to the pictures. I'm trying to load up ESPN. There you go. I took a screenshot. I just kept flashing the E. The E. It was trying to load. Nothing. So then I tried to go to like Yahoo. I tried to go whatever. And I tried to even get the Celtics score. Up top, you can't really see that. It's probably going to be blurry. Hold on. So anyway, blank screen. So now I'm dying. But I was able to go to the bathroom, and there was like an area where it was like loading. Like the ESPN graphic came up, and I got nothing. But then I went to try to get to Yahoo, the Celtics score, And then I see it pop up and it said 55-50 at the half. And I said, all right, Celtics made a run. It's great. So now, as the game goes on, I'm not watching, of course. The last thing I checked was, I should have taken a screenshot of it. I think it was 100 to 96. And little did I know at the time, it was 101-96. I think it was 196. I'm drawing blanks. But anyway, Peyton Pritchard, as I find out later on, at 97-96 had a wide open three. And that's why I read that the Celtics had wide open looks and they couldn't knock down threes, which of course is a typical recipe for disaster, because if they make more than 40%, they're going to win. If they get less than that, they're going to lose. So what happens? As I then get the final score, then I get to see was 105-98 as it loaded. Because at this point, I was like, I got to find out what's happening. I got to be on top of this. And I went back to that area near the bathroom. So it was 105-98. I think it was like 53 seconds left. And I said, oh my God, so this game's over. And then I find out it's 109-100. And then I proceed to show my wife. And she's like, oh my God, what happened? I said, listen, I followed here and there. And yeah, what are you going to do? So what did I proceed to do at that point? Now, kids, don't judge. And kids, do not attempt this at home. Or even adults for that matter. At that point, I started drinking, and I had a bet with somebody the night before, not sports related. So I had to take 3 shots in a row. They have this rum down in Guatemala, which is fantastic. So I took 3 shots. I ended up drinking 9 shots throughout the night. Didn't have a hangover the next day because I danced the night away with the wife, and the music was great. So that is my story there. And real quick, I see I got a lot of comments, which I'll get to, and I appreciate everybody who's hopped on board. Please leave a comment. Don't be shy. I'll get to them in a moment. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're second, third, 100th time, welcome back, as you already know. But here's my takeaway. And I'll try to say this as brief as possible with the Celtics, because that right now they're old news. I know that Jaylen Brown came out with the twitch, flopping, this and that. That's sour grapes. He should know better. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. If the Celtics would have won Game 7, would he have twitched the next day saying that they didn't get the calls or that the refs were the integrity of the game and Joel Embiid flops? Everybody flops. Did you watch Game 1 the other night with VJ Edgecombe guarding Jalen Brunson? Where were the calls? But I'm not trying to say that the officiating was the key. Celtics lost the game fair and square. But we know that certain players are officiated a certain way. SGA, he's the prime example of that. And I'm sure last night, and watching that, SGA's getting every call known to man. And foul baits too. Embiid, he flops and he gets away with it. And Brunson, he does his contact thing and, the flailing of the body. It's gross. I hate it. But Jaylen Brown has to pipe down. That's number one. Number two, why was Jason Tatum at the end of the game? And I get it, it's the NBA in 2026. He's literally laughing with Embiid. I don't care if Embiid says, oh, we got away with that one. I flopped all over the place, and Tatum couldn't help but laugh. I just would have had a blank face. Obviously, this isn't the Sixers Celtics of yesteryear. And with that being said, I know Tatum, listen, he should have tried to play in Game 7. If the knee was that bad, he can't play. But I can say that is that Larry Bird or if that was Kevin McHale, you think they're sitting out of Game 7 against a hated rival? You know what the answer is to that. And I'm not trying to question Tatum's heart or his ability to play, but I do remember this. Game 7 against the Miami Heat, 2023. Remember, that was to go to a final. I understand it's the first round, but Tatum, if you recall, and they were down 0-3 in that series to the Heat. Game 7, on the first offensive possession of the game, right there by the baseline, he turned his ankle, was shot, hobbled up and down the court the whole game. Had to give it a go. It's not as if he turned his ankle, all right, guys, I'm out of here later. Now, I understand you're dressed in the heat of battle, different story, but if you're Tatum, dress, coach, let me see what I got. If you remember, OG Anunoby, Game 7 against the Pacers 2 years ago in the Eastern Conference semis. He played in a game 7, had a bad hammy. He was literally carrying his leg up and down the court until he couldn't go. That's what you want to see in your players. And I understand you can't question his heart based on him coming back 10 months after tearing his Achilles. So it's hard to knock Tatum. But maybe, just maybe, could you at least give it a go? Even if he went out there. Now, granted, I understand if he blew out his other Achilles or worse, tore an ACL. What do you say? But that's how it is. That's how it goes. I mean, that's just coming from me. And then lastly with the Celtics, and I promise I'll move on. The scenario regarding Jaylen Brown and supposedly him saying that this was his favorite year of all. I mean, as a fan, that's tough to swallow. I will say I understand what he means by that because this was supposed to be the quote-unquote gap year, and they still ended up winning, 56 games, and they didn't have Jason Tatum for almost 3/4 of the year, and a lot of players stepped up, and I know we could kill Joe Mazzulla and his coaching, starting 3 bench guys and trying to switch things up in the last. I get that, and that to me, that was very strange. I get it. You're going to have somebody to start for Tatum, but did you have to really revamp it to the point? I get it. Was almost as if he was going back to the regular season for Game 7. And I understand, listen, strange, yes, but they had a chance to take the lead at 97-96 there with that Pritchard 3 in the corner. Oh, what could have been? But then there's this thing with the front office where he and Brad Stevens came out today to say that, no, Jaylen, we had an honest conversation. Everything's fine between us and JB. We love JB, whatever. I mean, listen, even if it wasn't, what are you supposed to say? Oh, no, we're at odds right now and things aren't looking good. And mind you, he could sign an extension, I believe, by August 1st, where he's going to make $280 million. And he's been worth every penny. But just some food for thought as we move it along, and I'll stop with the Celtics right there as I move it with the comments. All right, let me see if I can go breeze through these things because obviously I got a lot more to talk about. Oh, I see a lot of Mazzulla stuff there. Hold on. All right, Fishing Angel. Yes, I am. It's so delicious. And I could buy 5 chocolate milks in a couple of days. I have 1 chocolate milk left. I hear that. Yeah, I used to do chocolate milk many moons ago. I can't even remember the last time I had chocolate milk. Who's better, Mets or Giants? Oh, Val, you putting me on the spot here? Well, listen, if you're going to say talent-wise, listen, the Giants are better. If you're going to look at their record, I don't even know what the Giant record is right now. You should probably know that. But, yeah, I'll say the Giants, but not by much. I mean, it's a thing where's their record? I'm pulling it up just to be official. 14-22, the Mets are half game behind. So you know they're about the same. How about that there, pal? They're about the same. Also addicted to Haichu candy. Oh, I know Haichu, yeah. They have 1 million flavors. Yeah, I haven't had one of those in ages also. Jeez. One of you's going to talk about the Tara Skubal surgery. You want I can talk about that now, or do you want me to save it? You know what? You bring it up now, J-Rod. I'll talk about it real brief. Now, he's going to be out probably 3 months till August, but that AL Central is an abomination. So as long as they tread water, they'll be fine when he comes back. And you know he's going to come back because if it was Tommy John, he'd be done, and that's it. And what about Framber Valdez last night? I mean, really? He gives up 2 home runs, and then he drills Trevor Story. Oh, it wasn't intentional. Now, I understand it wasn't he threw him behind the back or whatever, but come on. We know Framber Valdez dating back to last year where he crossed up his own catcher and didn't even care about his health. So I can't trust anything Framber Valdez says. So he could say all he wants. Oh, no, I didn't mean to hit him. No. To me, that's nonsense. But for Skubal, he has the same injury, I believe, that Edwin Diaz has. And Diaz is supposed to come back by the All-Star break. And I would think by August, Skubal will be back ready to go. And you know he's going to want to come back because he's got the big payday coming. But we know about not mentally when he's on the mound, but he's going to check himself out of these games. Because if the Tigers are in, and I would think they'll be in a pennant race, this guy's got to go 7, 8, 9 innings. I don't want to hear it. He can't take himself out of these games, as I've talked about a million times, that Game 5 against Seattle. So that's going to be the big thing. So we'll see. Yeah, wonder so too. Okay. Val, sports question of the day. What sports ticker? I grew up listening. I like that bio. It's a good one. Well, I grew up, of course, Mike and the Mad Dog here in New York. Chris Russo, you may see him on First Take he's on today, Wednesday. Mike Francesa, I know he has a podcast now, but to me, they're the sports radio gods. I understand there were people before him, whether it was Art Rush Jr., who I didn't really listen to, or Bill Mazer, Pete Franklin. He was based out of Cleveland. Other guy, Warner Wolf was a guy. Now, he did from DC, but did a lot in New York. Warner Wolf was on ABC, then went to CBS. Let's go to the videotape. Turn your sets off there. He had a lot of different, and he was a local sports anchor here for the news, whether it was on WABC or ABC or even CBS later on. I love Warner Wolf. And besides that, let me see who else. Sports radio person. And Warner Wolf wasn't a sports radio personality, but he was a guy that you always had to, watch his highlights. He had his plays of the month, which are great. Maybe they're on YouTube somewhere. You could check that out. Sports radio. Then after that, let me see. Yeah, Joe Beningo here in New York, I liked a lot because he's just a nut job for his teams. Think of some others. Yeah, like ESPN, I never really got into like Mike and Mike. Never got to Stephen A. Because Stephen A, please, you're going to talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs getting the number one pick in the draft is forthcoming. And what do you think about Gavin McKenna? Listen, I've never seen Gavin McKenna play, but I know, and I'll talk about it in a little bit. But yeah, those are the guys I grew up listening to. And when I say grow up, we're talking about now in my early 20s. So I won't even lie. I was about to turn off Game 6. Fisher said no, still want to watch. Wow, look at that. Way to go, Fishing Angel. Way to go. Jim Brandstatter would be mine. Jim Brandstatter. I don't know. What about you, Bio? Yeah, who would you oh, yeah, it goes Zip, just like you said. Yep, 100%. And I wasn't a Steve Summers guy just for the New York for Zip. I wasn't crazy about Steve Summers, though. Jim Brandstatter, I got to look that guy up. Kate Cunningham, Doug Robinson's favorite place, the Pistons. And Doug Robinson had a big game last night. And they're going to need him moving forward. Why they're my favorite is they know how to score up the team. They're awesome. Yes. To the dynamic duo. Yeah, Luka has that hammy. Yep. As Bio just said. Watching Joel. Oh, yeah, I'm not a big fan. Listen, Towns is a talented player. Yeah, he's like in and out sometimes. He has the big games, but then how's everyone doing after this? Hey, I'm doing fine. Glad that they won. Zip pledging his allegiance on Prime. Oh, I hate that, but Oh, I'm going to get on the NFL later on too. Did you hear about I'll save that. The NFL, the schedule release. Pistons at 6. I agree with you. Val saying, what's up, Fishing Angel? Hold on. All right. NBA's milking. Oh, that's happening. Well, the thing is they're locked in now with the recent media rights deal. So it's going to be Amazon. It's going to be Peacock. I don't think they're going to touch Netflix. I think everything's set up in that regard. So, but yeah, I hate it. But again, this is the world we live in. Plus, it says it's going to be a low score for the game. Yeah, what was it? 110, 111, 101? That's pretty good. Well, I think low scoring, anything under 100 is low scoring. In this day and age with the NBA, I would have got thrown on the first 5 minutes with Punch Townsend. Yeah. Would have done a Bill Lane beer. Taking that back to yesteryear. I said, no, the Pistons will not like Cleveland. Yeah, I think they will too. 6. I hate Towns more soft than LeBron. Yeah, I can see that. And LeBron's another one who flops too, by the way. When the wife's right, the wife's right. Yeah, that's right. Can't argue that. As a Knicks fan, I'm very scared of the Pistons anywhere, and I'll play a game is sweet. Yeah, listen, if they do collide, then we'll definitely get into it. That's going to be a fun series to talk about, especially what happened in regular season. But, hey, remember last year, Celtics swept the Knicks in the regular season 4-0, and how did that turn out? Although I'll go to my grave saying that the Celtics lost that series more than the Knicks won it, but that's obviously neither here nor there right now. LeBron comes to the league in 1990. How long does he last? He plays 20 seasons. Yeah, the thing is he's big and strong. He'd last, but you got to wonder. I would say he lasts. He takes care of himself. The guy's a physical specimen. I mean, he's from another planet, so I would say he would last. But the game would be a lot different. That's for damn sure. Hand checking, everything. Thank you, Bio. Yes. Was a long time ago. And I hope come October, I'll be saying the same song I've been singing for the last, God willing, 17 years. And you know me, I'll be dancing on that grave. Without any pity, of course. They have been doing well. I'm going to throw cold water on them later on, though. I know I'm being bitter, but but it's factual. I'm not throwing cold water on just to throw cold water on them. Well, kind of, but it's valid. It's valid. I say no, LeBron James getting old and broken down. I say no. No, but if you take him in his peak, like if he came out of the draft in 1990, and that would be out of high school, so that's before Kobe, Kevin Garnett, etc. I understand it's post Darryl Dawkins, Moses Malone too. Bill Willoughby, look him up. Yeah, I still think LeBron would have a good. Listen, would he score 40,000 points? I don't know. But I think because he takes care of his body, I think he would have a long career. What is this? Hold on. J-Rod, Yankees will get by. From your lips to the baseball gods and to the Lord's ears, I will say that. The American League is weak. And think about this. The Yankees are in first place. What is the record? 25-11? Tampa's right behind them. A game and a loss. The Rays, who, by the way, swept the Yankees earlier this year. But do you expect that to last? But that's the thing with the Rays, man. You got to give it up. Their organization. But then again, that team, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Keep this receipt. And I've said this years ago, but they win a new year. If the Rays go on and have a big year, and I hope they do. I hope they win a division. You know me. But that team is built for the regular season and not built for October. Because they don't have a lot of power. What, Junior Caminero? I understand that, but I don't trust them in the playoffs. Just say hi. All right, Val, what's happening with Warriors in the head coach search? Well, the thing is, it hasn't been official whether Steve Kerr has stepped down or they're going to put forth an extension for him. So right now it's in limbo, which is weird. But yeah, because he doesn't have a contract after this year. I guess maybe to wait until after the playoffs maybe they're negotiating behind the scenes. Maybe they are. But that's a good one there, Val. Jaylen Brown for Giannis trade rumors have begun. Well, here's the thing. Giannis will also want an extension too because he's up for one as well. And the thing is, he'd actually be cheaper than Jaylen Brown because Jaylen Brown now is going to get $70 million because he's was an All-NBA player 3 years ago. He's going to be second All-NBA this year, minimum. Because if I had to do it off the top of my head, it's going to be, what's interesting is they're going to put, will they put Wemby as a forward? Because you got to think, put it this way, if you're not going to put it by position, it's got to be SGA, Wemby, Jokic, Cade Cunningham. Who would the other guard be? I'm not putting Anthony Edwards. I'm drawing blanks right now. Who that other player would be? Could Jaylen Brown get first team All-NBA? It's possible. But if you're two forwards, if you're going to put three forwards there, if you're going to have SGA, Cade as your backcourt, and then you're going to do either Wemby or Jokic as your center. And that's four. That fifth player, if it's a forward, it could be Jaylen Brown. He's going to get second team All-NBA. And I know I'm drawing blanks. Maybe Luka. I know he got hurt late. Luka had a big year. Maybe put Luka ahead of him. Jaylen Brown's going to be second team All-NBA. He's going to get $70 million. And it's 4 years. That's $280 million. Yeah, I drank a lot of liquor. It happens. And I don't usually drink like that. But that night, what the hell? Yeah, exactly. It was. But I was good the next day, which was fantastic. It was a little similar to Dave Roberts early in his tenure with the Dodgers. Yeah, Missoula. They got to change their offensive philosophy. I mean, that's what it boils down to. They can't just shoot threes all day. They got to get to the basket. And there are times, how many times have you seen a player, let's say if it's Jaylen Brown, he tries to break down a defense. And yeah, sometimes he goes to the rack. But he'll have a lane, or let's say even if the defender comes, that's where you pull up a little 12, 15-foot floater. Or that's where the mid-range game comes in. No, the minute he goes to the basket, oh, somebody's coming, let me kick it out to the mid-range. It's a lost art in the NBA. Very few players use it. J. Reels, like the Nets, Giants, I'm disappointed in the loss. You're not talking about the Brooklyn Nets, are you, Val? Or maybe you're saying the Mets? Oh, listen, the Mets have won 3 out of 4. I got to see a lot more. They're going to play a doubleheader today, I believe, right? Isn't that going to start? Let me see. Or maybe not. I thought they were playing a doubleheader today, unless because I think they have a day off. I got to look at the schedule. Why don't I know this is beyond me? Because they had the game postponed yesterday. And, they moved it to Thursday because they had the day off Thursday. I thought they were going to play a doubleheader today. So I guess they agreed, the Mets and Rockies. Then the Mets, from there, they go to Arizona. So that answers that question. Mets, not Nets. Oh, I got you. No, that's all right, Val. It's all good. That's what I thought. In 2026, it's Friend BA. Friend BA, yeah. Oh, it is. Oh, my God. The fraternization is just disgusting. It was his favorite because the number one option, number one. Yeah, probably. That's a good way. If you read between the lines, it's a good way to think of it. Alex Correa out for the season. Oh, no, Carlos Correa. He's back with the Astros. J-Rod. Yeah. I could feel the tears coming from Bio's. I could feel them. Oh, yeah. 3 teams. And the other team is the A's, and they're 1 game over 500. I mean, it's the whole AL Central is under 500. The Athletics are a game over 500, and you have Yankees in Tampa. If the Yankees don't go to a World Series this year, there needs to be an investigation. I hope they don't. The Yankees, please. Mets are only a half game behind. So 2.7 in a row. Really? Did you guys feel that or no? The Schmoozer, yes. Steve Summers. Yeah, I wasn't a fan of his, though. I don't know. Maybe it's me. It looks like he'll be the first overall pick. Val, we shall see. Oh, Jim Healy was our first sports show. All right. Oh, Jim Rome, yes. Papa Joe Chevalier, yeah, I remember. Kim Wall, all good one. Oh, Sports Babe. Whatever happened to her? Yes, I remember all those people. Whatever happened to the Sports Babe? Yeah, I remember when she was on ESPN. If Knicks makes next round, we need a J Reels. Listen, I got to reach out to him because we're supposed to do a run up Broadway. Matter of fact, I got to do that before the week is out. Yeah, I want to get on Keith's show. He has this show called Mic Check on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed to his channel, check it out. He's doing big things independently, which I love. So kudos to him. Did the Raiders release their schedule? Oh, no, I'd be shocked if that's the case. Hey, look who's back. Mark, you know I'm not going there today, but I had to just post that there. So, yeah, look. Oh, look who's in the house, my guy, Fuqua. And salute to Mark, too. The Mets still stink. Yeah, let's see if they can win today. Of course, Fuqua, a.k.a. Everyday Mets, Dad's Chips, Tatsuya Mai, Kai Boy Bull, Rhoda Pen Mark. I know I'm missing a couple. Jonathan Sean Cup. I'm missing another big one there. I know I got quite a few of those. Fuqua, how's the leg? Please share. Well, takes the loss last night. Wow. Yeah, he's had a huge year. And I believe he's lost 7 games to the Astros in his career. Obviously, a lot of that was when he was with Anaheim. Imagine getting dissed this long and telling him to watch the entire night. Bill Simmons already spreading rumors. Is that right? I didn't see that. Yeah, and you know what? I don't know if Jaylen Brown did that and he got fined $50,000 for his comments against the refs. if he did that as a ploy to get out of Boston, and I know there were a lot of talk before they won the championship 2 years ago. Oh, Jalen and Jason can't play with one another. They're both pretty much play the same position, whatever. But to go back to the Giannis thing that was brought up, I would make that trade. Giannis would be hungry. He's a big. He's got a lot of mileage, though. And he's had these injuries, these calf injuries that you got to worry about. But I think it would almost be similar. Now, granted that Kevin Garnett did not win a title in Minnesota, so he was brought there to win a title. But I think Giannis he'd be a beast. If he was on the Celtics, making sure I calculate this thought because I'm not going to just go crazy and think, that's not me. But he would be motivated to win a title. And Jaylen Brown going to Milwaukee, he'd be an afterthought because that team's going nowhere. And I don't know. I would make that trade. And that's no shade on Jaylen Brown. That's just because, again, Giannis would be motivated. And he's the type of guy, he doesn't fraternize with other players. He's won a title, so he knows what it takes to win. I like that. Logan Webb. Yeah, I know a lot of people are going to attribute to the WBC on some of that stuff, but yeah, I don't buy that. I'm not going to buy that. All right. Oh, it's 1 o'clock. All right, I got to get to my few other things. I know I love the comments, though, people. Keep it coming. Let me get to a few more before I move on. Thank you, Donavis. Yeah, I don't know why I thought today was a doubleheader because sometimes these players rather just get the doubleheader over with so they can get the day off, even though the delay with the weather was technically a day off. Oh, that's right. So we'll be out here by 2 o'clock. So unless I go longer, we'll see. No, it's all right there, Val. It's all good. I'll just throw this up there. If you started how more score 5 hour. Mark. Let's see. Oh, I think I'm caught up here. Yes, I was going to get to that too, Bio. Knicks Celtics race for Giannis begins. Well, here's the thing. Knicks, they'll give up Karl Anthony Towns. Yeah, that would be interesting, especially if the Knicks don't win a title. That's going to be fascinating. And yeah, Ted Turner passed away, 87 years of age, founder of CNN, TBS, TNT, all that, Turner Network, the Superstation, Atlanta Braves trying to make them America's team back in the early 80s. I mean, seriously. But no, rest in peace to Ted Turner. Married to Jane Fonda all those years. I think they got divorced. But yeah, certainly someone who was a pioneer there when it comes to sports TV, et cetera, especially with TNT when they had the NBA, et cetera. Yes, he did, Mark. I believe it was earlier today, this morning. All right. Let me get to this. NHL second round game ones, and you had some game twos in there. All I'm going to say is the collision course between Carolina and Colorado looks like it's going to happen. Now, you still got a long way to go. They still got to win 6 more games to get to a cup final. But the Avalanche beating up on the Wild, and actually were on the ropes there a little bit there in game one, where they were down 5-4, and the shootout was 9-6, wild game there. And then the Avalanche won last night 5-2. They even switched goaltenders. They're bringing in Philip Gustafson. The other guy got shelled, gave up 8 goals in a game there in game one. So now you have a situation where Colorado cooking with gas. They're 6-0 to start off the postseason. Same for the Hurricanes, who won game one, shut out the Flyers 3-0. But then they were down 2-0 in game two, and then came back and they won in overtime. So that was a big blow there to the Flyers as they'll play game 3, I believe, tomorrow. Because tonight, the Canadiens and that Canadian Lightning series, man, I understand it's the first round. It's not going to be remembered as if it was a conference final, a Stanley Cup final, but that series was just, I mean, unbelievable. And for Canadians to come out on top and win that, and now they're going to play the Sabres, who beat the Bruins in 6 games. I like the Canadians. Sabres, listen, they didn't fool around. They were up 2-0 in the series. Could have been down 2-1. And yeah, I get it that they didn't play well in game number. Well, they played well, but they lost in overtime game 5 to the Bruins. But I don't know, Canadians. That was a gut check series, man. And the Lightning, listen, they got pedigree. I know Victor Hedman came out and said that the reason why he left and took all that time off because of dealing with mental health. So shout out to you, Victor Hedman. Hopefully you're getting better and getting yourself together. But yeah, I like the Canadians in the series. And it's probably going to go 7. I'm going to say 6 because the Sabres, now they're getting a little bit to the deeper end of the pool. And I want to see Montreal. I want an original 16 to move forward. I mean, a Carolina Buffalo, and I root for Buffalo hard. I do not want Carolina in the final. They've always killed the Islanders over the years, so I got like not a deep hatred, but a hatred enough to not see them go far. Although they're built to get to a cup final this year with the offseason moves they made last year. So Montreal, Carolina, they'd be great, and I think Montreal in the final will be even better. And it'll be ironic because imagine if they go up against Colorado, which was the former Quebec Nordique, and of course they were the big rivals there, dating back many years ago before the Nordique moved to Colorado. That was after the 94, 95, because I believe in their first year in Colorado, they won the cup there when they beat Florida. So we'll see what happens with that. But the NHL with the game 1, well, those 2 games, and then you have Montreal Buffalo tonight's a game 1, and then the other game 1 series where Anaheim and Vegas. Now, Vegas, come on, they got the break of all time. I can't believe they didn't call that an icing when the game was tied at 1 and they broke the tie there with 4 minutes to go in the third period. I mean, come on. What are we doing here, guys? And that's not a reviewable play. So, that's just terrible. Excuse me. And who knows if there's going to be a situation where I'm sure the league and their rules committee, they're going to have to get together to probably think that, hey, can we call an icing there? I mean, that was blatant. It wasn't even borderline. It was close. No, that was a complete ice. You could tell that the players, once the puck was touched there by the defenseman, I forgot what it was. Yeah, you could tell the players lacked. They got laxed, and therefore they gave up the goal. Oh, just terrible. Cheers, guys. Water, H2O. So, yeah, totally didn't like that. That was a brutal way to lose if you're Anaheim. And, of course, they beat Edmonton in the previous round and no Connor McDavid, and that's another blow. Another Canadian team out. McDavid out. Remember, obviously, Edmonton made it to the Cup Finals in the last 2 years, but they're toast. And how I look at these series, I mean, really, Montreal Buffalo, I gave you they haven't even started yet. While you got 2 series that are already 2-0, and Vegas and Anaheim, which I believe, don't they play tonight? They do after Montreal Buffalo. I picked Vegas to win that series. I think I said 6. Yeah, I think I said 6. But, yeah, that's what you have there with the hockey. But real quick before I move on, you have the scenario with Toronto as they got a new GM in there, and the ping pong balls went their way. They get the number 1 pick. Who knows if this could be maybe the turning of the corner for the franchise that has not won a Stanley Cup since 1967. We're going on 60 years. And for them to get a new GM, Matt Sundin, one of the top Maple Leaf players in their history, is back in an advisory role. He's not a VP. The guy that they brought in, I can't even pronounce his name. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. The new GM or VP of Ops for the Blackhawks are, hang on one second, John Chayka. So, and you would think they're going to pick Gavin McKenna. There's the kid that went to Penn State, got into some trouble off the ice with allegations of assault, but that got dropped. So at least he could not have that hanging over his head coming into this draft. But good for the Maple Leafs. They're going to get a top flight player. Last time I had a number 1 pick was Austin Matthews many moons ago. So we'll see what happens with the Maple Leafs. And the draft, I don't believe, is until It's in the end of June, but you have the NBA draft lottery, which I believe is a week from yesterday, because it's usually around the second round later. So we'll see what's going to happen there with the ping pong balls for the NBA. Yeah, and here it is. Stevens denies Browns Celtics riffs. I love JB. But yeah, I'm sure the rumors are going to be flowing about him in the weeks to come on whether or not he's going to be on a trading block. So that we'll have to wait and see. All right, so that's your hockey. Let me get to the comments here. Yeah, the novice. You know what? Maybe I may get to that next. There's the baseball. Hold on a second. Yeah, RIP. Definitely Mark Salmons. That was to Ted Turner. Yes. They say next Wednesday. But there may be a caveat, which I'm going to get to. And I found out today because they said, oh, it's going to be maybe between the 11th and 13th or the 18th through 20th. And I said, what? Why are they going to postpone it for a game? Is that right? Oh, my God. I said this on the short the other day. And the series is done. And everybody looks at Embiid as a guy that, yeah, he's a dominant big man, whatever, but the guy can't stay healthy. Again, Celtics series, that was their NBA Finals. When Tyrese Maxey, after they won Game 5 in Boston, and that's going to be the sticking point, and I said this before one last time, Celtics were up Game 5, 63-50 in the third quarter of the game. Now, listen, not that they were expected to win, but you figure they would have cruised, whatever, and that fourth quarter, they couldn't shoot the ball in the ocean off a boat. Bad memories. But Embiid, everybody, they have a shot against the Knicks. How many games is he going to play? If he plays all 7, they got a shot. If he's going to be in and out of the lineup, forget it. And I even said this in the last series after he came back in Game 4 and it was every other day, how long is he going to last? And I thought he was going to last past Game 5. Lo and behold, he played the rest of the series and doomed the Celtics. But here it is, Game 1, and now he's out. What is he out? Hangnail? Shonen, Michel Goulet, yes. The days in Quebec. I'm sure it's posted down here. A.J. Brown to the Chiefs. Oh, is that right? There you go. Number 2 pick, probably. I don't think they go 1. Yeah, good for the Leafs. Exactly. Oh. Day-Day was a top flight player, too. Day-Day. Wait a minute. Day-Day. You got to fill me in on that there, Day-Day. I'm not picking that up there, Mark. Oh, did they move that? You know, it used to be the NBA lottery on Mother's Day. I can even show you a story about that. 1997, Game 7 Eastern Conference semifinals, Knicks Heat. Of course, that was the famous series. P.J. Brown, Charlie Ward, the suspensions. And then Tim Hardaway went off in that Game 7. That was on a Sunday. And I'll never forget, the draft lottery was that afternoon. And as a Celtic fan, I'm thinking, here we go. Tim Duncan. Fantastic. Let's go. So now, they had 2 picks that year, if you recall. The number 6 pick, Celtics. And right away it was like, oh, okay. And that pick, I believe, I should know this off the top of my head, but I'm drawing blanks. That pick they got, I believe that was from the Clippers. I have to go back and check. But when they got the 6th pick, it was almost like, that's not a good sign. Because they were expected to be both of those picks in the top 5. And then what happened was it got to the final 3. Now they think they do the top 4 or top 5. But now it was down to the final 3 teams. It was going to be San Francisco, San Antonio, Philadelphia, Boston. The number 3 pick goes to the Boston Celtics. I was out of my gourd. I said, oh my God, San Antonio or Philadelphia is going to get the number 1 pick. I said, I don't want Philly to get the number 1 pick. Obviously, they would have got Duncan. And I remember people were talking about the Celtics that year. Oh, they tanked that year. They tanked. Celtics were awful. Go back and check. Andrew DeClerc, Nate Driggers, Michael Hawkins. That was the rookie year of Antoine Walker. I mean, they had nobody on the team. And they want to say they tanked? Meanwhile, David Robinson, pulled this, done for the year. Sean Elliott, I can't play anymore, done for the year. They had so many guys go down with injuries that they tanked and they got Duncan, and I was beyond irate. Because even though I was like, all right, they got Duncan, but then I thought to myself, I was like, no, that should have been our pick, but obviously it wasn't. But it was a thing where then Duncan murdered the Celtics in his time there. Bad memories. From Friday, Mike. Oh, okay. Day was a top flight player too. Yes. I wasn't thinking Friday, but you went back there. I got you, Mark. If the Knicks heap 76ers, the NFL. Sweep this release Thursday. Yes. Probably. If they sweep them, yes. I could definitely see that. How in the hell? So Embiid is out. I got to find out why. Embiid out versus Knicks tonight. Due to multiple injuries. Oh, what a joke. They got no shot. Andre Drummond is going to start, and they have no bench. Forget about it. This series is over. He was downgraded from probable after experiencing increased soreness and missing morning shoot around. Oh, my God. I told you, that was the NBA Finals, guys. Anyway, that game, that's not even a bother to watch that. Yep. Oh, yeah. Everybody's going to be pumped up for that. You know what? Now that you said that, I'll get to the baseball last. I can get to the live thing. I mean, nobody cares right now. I mean, the live, they say they're up. After this year, they're done. And you have the next week is the PGA, which I don't like. And then you have the US Open, the French Open after that, tennis. But let me get to the next thing because this is going to fire me up. Hold on. Where's my graphics? Here we go. When is the NFL schedule release date? Last year, I remember it was on a Wednesday because I talked about it on Thursday's podcast. This year, you would think it's going to be the second Wednesday, which would be the 13th. But now there's been reports that the schedule could be pushed a week ahead to the 18th, 19th. This is what I heard. You ready for this, people? Not making this up. And good. I hope it gets aggregated. I hope everybody, yeah, exactly. The reason why they may postpone the schedule release date is because the NFL has 5 games that they want either Prime, Netflix, or Peacock to pick up. What are those 5 games? The Australia game, Niners-Rams, the Thanksgiving Eve game. That's right, Thanksgiving Eve, as we talked about before. I understand Amazon did this the last couple of years when they had the game, but now they're actually considering not 1, which is game 3, but 2 Black Friday games. A 3 and 6:30. Or they may move it up because the game's usually 3 o'clock to Black Friday. It may be 3 and 6:30, similar to what we've seen with the divisional round, the Sunday 3 and 6:30, and the championship games. That's 4. And then the last game, get ready for this. There's going to be games on Christmas Day, as you know, that Friday. But now they're thinking a Thursday night Christmas Eve game. There are your 5 games. And with Amazon, Peacock, Netflix, who's going to get the rights to broadcast those games? Count them again. The Thursday night game, I said Wednesday. Wednesday's the game for the Seahawks. So it's the Thursday night Australia game, Niners-Rams, the Thanksgiving Eve game, the 2 Black Friday games, and the Christmas Eve game. Why don't we just have a Halloween game? When is Halloween? What's on the schedule? Can I look that up real quick? Let's have some fun here, people, right? Halloween this year is on, they can't do it. It's on a Saturday. College football. But you know what? Would it surprise you if they had a midnight game? Because people would watch. Obviously, that's not going to happen. But, I mean, when does it stop with the NFL? So you're going to have a Christmas Eve game. And they've had games on Christmas Eve, I understand, but if it falls on a weekend. And in fact, in the past, when it fell on a Saturday, Christmas Eve, because obviously the game's mostly on Sunday, they would have a whole Christmas Eve slate. And then they'll have a game or two on Christmas night. But, of course, they're the Shield. So now they got 2 Black Friday games. So think about this. As I said this when they talked about the Thanksgiving Eve games. So you're going to have a Thanksgiving Eve game. You're going to have 3 Thanksgiving games. That's 4. You're going to have 2 Black Friday games. That's 6. What's left for Sunday, Monday? And then you're going to have your Sunday 425, your Sunday night game, your Monday night game. The NFL, I'm sorry. You're doing the most. You are doing the most. The Sunday schedule means nothing anymore. You're going to get a lot of Tennessee at Houston. You're going to get a lot of New Orleans at Atlanta. You're going to get the 1 o'clock games are going to be, you're going to be bored to tears. Jets at Jacksonville. These games are going to be, So that's why if they don't come to a conclusion on whether or not those games are going to get picked up by this, and it's going to be the streaming services. CBS, NBC, they're not flying over there. They're not bringing a crew to Australia for that opening game. It's like, no, it's cost too much. The streaming services will. Why not? Because it's going to bring ratings. The 2 games on Black Friday, come on. Well, let's just have a Thanksgiving week, have a game every day of the week. Why not? Just throw a game in on Tuesday. I know they can't do it Saturday because of the college football, but why not? All right, I guess I could get to the baseball here. Yeah, I talked about Scooble before because that was one of my topics. All right, let me see some comments here. Mr. Drummond from the Jeffersons will have a better chance. Yeah, you got that right. Oh, you mean Mr. Drummond from Different Strokes? Yeah. Nah, it's all good there, Mark. You're forgiven. I'll be watching Rams in Vegas this year. That's right. Rams, Raiders. Hopefully in October. Vegas best weather in October. That's right, because they do play against one another, right? It's NFC West, AFC West. That'd be good. I'm sure you'll be able to get tickets. I mean, please, how many Raider fans are there in come on. Zip, never thought as an NFL fan I would say it's too many games. Now, listen. I know Zip personally, and we're roughly the same age. I understand the 25-year-old, they can't get enough. 30-year-old, probably the same. You got to be, I think, 40 and up to kind of be like, all right, when is enough enough? But this is the world we live in, and I get it. Just like we watch these NBA games on Amazon Prime and on Peacock, and I get it. But the thing with the NFL, what was special about the NFL was Sunday, 1 o'clock, because you had 10 games. Then you probably had the 4 games in the afternoon, the 4 o'clock games. You had the Sunday night game and a Monday night game. There's your 16 games. Thanksgiving week, you're going to have like 6 1 o'clock games, and they're all going to be bad because think about it. Thanksgiving Eve, you have to have a decent matchup. We already know that it's Detroit, Dallas, the first 2 games, and you know primetime they have to put up a decent matchup, and you know they're going to put decent teams in that window for Green Bay and Detroit on Thanksgiving. Black Friday, come on. You're not going to have, at that point, you're not going to have a 3-8 team go up against a 5-6 team. People will watch for gambling and all that, but still, please, turn your sets off. You're going to have to bring something of note, something that's going to be all right, even if it's, let's just say, I'm just going to give you 2 teams. Let's say it could be Bengals at Chargers. If Burrow's healthy, whatever, let's say the Bengals are what, 6-5 and the Chargers are 7-4. All right, that's a decent game because you have Burrow and Herbert. I mean, it's not a 5-star game, but you already know that could be the second game, and the first game is going to be, if they have a good year, watch it be like Washington and another NFC. Let's say it's Washington. I was going to say Detroit. Washington and Green Bay. So, and all right, it's a decent game because Washington, Jaden Dan's having a better year, whatever. Green Bay's Green Bay. It's Lambeau. It's a joke. I actually like the more days with games because it gives me a chance to watch games I don't normally watch. All right. I hear you, Thomas, and I can respect that. To me, Sunday at 1 was special, man. It was just like, you got all these games. Whether you're watching at home, you go to a bar with all the different games on the screen. I understand you can still go to a bar, but there's like 4 or 5 games as opposed to like 6 or 7 or 8 games on at once. Sean, you said it best. That's it. They're pigs, and they got all these mouths to feed because it's not as if they're on 2 or 3 networks. It's not as if they're on ABC, CBS, NBC. I get it. We live in a world where there's ESPN and there's Prime and Netflix and Peacock, and how much longer do you see Brett Beatty for Cisco Alvarez? I know. I agree. We're going to ride those horses until they fall apart there, Fuqua. I know. And the thing is, they gave Luis Torrens a 2-year extension to back up. But Alvarez, I know. And Alvarez was a top prospect. 2021, he was baseball's number 1 rated prospect. And in his first full season, he hit 25 home runs. I get he's had a lot of injuries, thumbs and wrists and things of that nature. But yeah, he hasn't really panned out. And I like Alvarez. I really do. And Beatty? Oh, geez. I know the Mets. Give me Monday Night Football, Howard Cosell, Sundays, NFL Today, Brent Musburger. Oh, geez. Could we go back in time and do that? Brent Musburger, we are looking live at Veterans Stadium with the San Francisco 49ers. Oh, come on. Nothing beats that. And right, it was him, Jimmy the Greek, Irv Cross, Phyllis George, then Jane Kennedy. And that was it. No players, nothing. Now, your pregame shows are like 9 people in the pregame shows. And I don't watch those pregame shows to save my life. Not this guy. All right, let me get to some comments here. Comments. Bring them back up. Oh, excuse me. I want to get to the banner. All right, let's have some fun here. I only bring this up because you've had some people in some circles bring up like, who's the best team in Major League Baseball? Does anybody care? It's May 6th. I should have put that with a question mark. Well, I put the question marks with the teams. Can we get to Memorial Day first? Because to me, that's the first barometer where we can really get a decent breakdown and analysis of where these teams are going. I get it. Teams have second-half surges. Teams come out of nowhere. Understood. But with that being said, today is the 6-week mark of the baseball season. And those 3 teams you see there have the best records. In fact, the Braves have the best record in baseball, 26-11. Yankees 25-11. The Rays are 23-12. No, 24-12, I believe. No, 23-12. And the Cubs are 24-12. And it played well. I think they won 7 in a row. Funny enough, where the Dodgers in that? Dodgers are 22-13 now, I believe. But you know they're going to be there in the end. And there is no need to even bring up the Dodgers right now. Well, 22-14, I said. I said 13. And the Padres are half game behind them. Now, all I'll say is this. It's way too early to even say who's the best team, blah, blah. Because to me, and I am the perfect example. Last year, middle of June, Mets were 45-24. Best record in Major League Baseball. Did I even once come out, pump out the chest? Who's the best team in baseball? What's the best record? That's right. The team that plays in Flushing, not in the Bronx. That's right. The Mets, Juan Soto, Francisco Lindor. That's right. The Batumbo Wag, may he rest in peace. Not this guy. Right, their record was what they were, and I even, maybe at that time, I have to go back and check, but I wasn't puffing my chest out of anything. I was just like, geez, I can't believe they're playing well, 45-24. I mean, what could you say? And after that, and nosedived into oblivion. So for the Yankee fan, as I said earlier, even for the Brave fan, for the 5 Rays fans outside of Tampa, and maybe there's plenty of Cub fans outside of Chicago. What does that mean right now? It means 0. All right, it means you're playing well. Means you're in first place, or in the Rays case, they're in second. And they've gotten off tremendous starts. Means squat. And in the case of the Yankees, and I know they're puffing their chest out, we're going to get Garrett Cole. We're going to get Carlos Rodon probably later this month, and Cole will be back in June. Our rotation. And their bullpen has been good, but I don't trust their bullpen. Come on. Tim Hill, Brent Hedrick, guys like that. I know David Bednar has 10 saves, but come on, money on the line. And you know Aaron Boone's going to burn out that bullpen by the time you get to August, and he's going to go by the iPod instead of the eye test. Forget about it. So I can get into that aspect. But here's the cold water I'm going to throw on the Yankees. And understand, you only play the teams that are in front of you. We didn't make the schedule. We didn't do this. We didn't do that. Yankees have won, and give them credit. I got to give them credit. They're 15-2 in their last 17 games. But if you were to ask, well, Jay Reels, who do they beat? Did they play the Phillies? They played the Dodgers? They play the Mets a week from this Friday, so for what that's worth, Citi Field. But again, who have they beaten? Oh, have they played Toronto yet? And Toronto's they've been, they've underachieved. I think they've been nicked up, whatever. But they haven't played them yet. The Yankees in that stretch, 15-2, they have beaten the Royals, the Red Sox, the Rangers, the Orioles, and I'm missing one other team there. I'm missing another team. Now, they played the Rangers twice. They beat them 2 out of 3 last week. They beat them yesterday. Beat the Grom, I might add, last night. The Orioles had just swept as if they were nobody's business. They beat the Royals. They swept the Royals. They're playing better now. Have they won 7 in a row? No, I think they won 5 in a row. But they're not good. So I got to take this with a grain of salt, people. I'm sorry. And one more time. Oh, well, what do you expect, Jay Reels? They beat the teams they beat. Right. Fine and dandy. And yes, they could have got swept by the Angels, as I said a few weeks ago, if it wasn't for Jordan Romano, their closer. But can we pipe down just a little bit, though? Just a little. Because I'll be honest. If I'm a Yankee fan, and with their recent history, because of their manager, and because of some injuries, no Stanton, they better hope Aaron Judge doesn't get hurt. And I understand they get reinforced in the pitching staff, but Carlos Rodon had a very good year last year. How do you fare in the postseason? So can we start there? Getting bombed by Toronto? So I don't want to hear, we didn't get bombed at the start, but he lost. I don't want to hear, in fact, no, that was the game that they won, that game 3. But he did not pitch well. And that was the game they won. I don't want to hear from any Yankee fan right now. I don't. Puff your chest out, this, that, and the third. You can say, hey, wow, I'm surprised by the start, this, that, whatever. Let's keep it rolling. But you know that they're going to be base running blunders. You know Jazz Chisholm, he keeps you in and out of these games. You know that they can't hit in the postseason when the money's on the line. And yeah, let me see Ben Rice in October. He's had a big year. Now they're saying, oh, is Ben Rice actually going to be better in the lineup than Juan Soto? Can we relax on that? I think Ben Rice is feasting off of the pitching because they don't want to pitch the Judge. And Judge batting what? He's batting like 260. He's hit 1 million home runs. But yeah, I don't want to hear it. And listen, I've given them credit. But one more time as I check the watch, May 6th. And as I said before, Yankees were 61-23 4 years ago. On pace to win more games than the 98 Yankees. And how did their season end up? Getting broomed by the Astros. So, zip. Not zip drive, zip it to the Yankee fan. I know. And then I want to say, what's going on? I know what's going to the Yankee fan too. The novice. Duked it. Oh, wait. Thoughts on Joe Burrow? You see, I missed that. Sorry, Mark. I know I missed this comment. Hold on. Thoughts on Joe Burrow finally getting money paid for his protection? Yeah, because they got an offensive line help. Bengals record prediction. I got to see the schedule. Now, because they play in the same division as my team, they're going to play, and they were what, in third place? Let me think for a second. I think last year they played the East. No, they played the East. The year before that, it was the West. So this year they play the South in the division. So obviously they got the 6 division games, the 4 against the South. Then the 2 games, whoever the third place teams, I guess if I do off the top of my head, third place team in the East. Was it Miami? Miami had a better record than the Jets, did they? Yeah, so they'll play Miami. And then they'll play out west. Who's the third place team? I guess it had to be the Chiefs because you have Broncos, Chargers, Chiefs. Oh, they play the Chiefs. That's not going to be easy. And then the Steelers I think they play the NFC South next year because 2 years ago they played the East. Last year they played 2023 they played the West, East, NFC North. Yeah, they're playing the South. Schedule may not be that bad. It'd be hard to pick. I got to see the teams and when they're going to play them. That also helps too, I think. Nah, not necessarily when. I take that back. So you know what? When the schedule comes out, I'll give you a better prediction. How about that, Mark? I will do that. Here we go. Truthfully, Beatty, Alvarez, Mauricio being forced. Bench is a long swing, Vientos. I don't know about Alvarez there because he got brought up in 2021. He should be, I'm not saying he should be Johnny Bench. He should be better. Mauricio, Beatty, you could certainly debate that. And it didn't help for either one of those guys that you had Jeff McNeil here. Third base has kind of been this mishmash because you had Vientos there, you had Beatty there. Then you bring in Bichette. Jeez. Benj. Yeah, it would have been, yeah. No, you know what? I disagree with you with Alvarez. Everybody else, I agree with you. And think about Vientos. 2 years ago, he had a great year, and you thought he was going to progress. He is not. Orlando-bound Rays are playing well. No, but they got new ownership that's going to stay in Tampa. In fact, they're thinking about building a stadium near Raymond James where the Buccaneers play. I once saw Phyllis George first. Rest in peace, of course, Phyllis George. Oh, wow. Andrew Galato was on the card. Phyllis actually talking to Tori Spelling. Oh, check that out. Oh, that's cool, bio. Yeah, Phyllis George. Yeah, she was, I believe, wasn't she a Miss USA? One of those. I mean, yeah, she was a beautiful woman. Without question. Marlins. Uh-oh, what did I miss there, Fuqua? Talking about Marlins. I'll go a different route, Reels. Top 3 quarterbacks playing. Right this second, I have to choose. Listen, I know he's hurt, guys. You got to still have Mahomes there. Yeah, I think the top 3 quarterbacks right now, I still got to say Mahomes. Listen, I had a down year last year, finally. Because who would you want in a big game? I'd say Mahomes, Allen, and Lamar Jackson. I'd have to take Jackson over Burrow. I understand Burrow's gotten to a Super Bowl, but he hasn't stayed healthy. And I know Lamar's had his issues with injuries too. And listen, I'm not a huge Lamar Jackson fan because I'm a Steeler fan. I do love his attitude. And how can you not love his talent? But he scares me in big spots. So, and I don't trust him in big spots. So, but I have to rate him over. And he's won 2 MVPs. I get it, the 1 Super Bowl. He's won 2 MVPs. He's put up big numbers. But my old saying with him, he could put up all the big numbers in October, November, December. But let me see when it really counts come January. That's it. And he hasn't done that. I get it, Burrow has, but I give him just a slight edge. Those would be my top 3, Mark. Going to Mets Yanks Saturday night. Oh, I know that's going to be rough. And that's the one thing. I'll say this now. You just hope the Mets don't get embarrassed. That's it. No. Yankees during their winning stretch have beaten who, and who. That's it. Beat nobody. Can we talk about how AB gets more coverage on ESPN than Major League Baseball now? Baseball. Oh, really? Well, I know, didn't ESPN, didn't they host WrestleMania? Do they have, they must be in bed with WWE then to broadcast these fights these matches. Because, yeah, if they're getting more pub than baseball, I mean, that's terrible. And I know you're a wrestling guy. So, and that's not a knock on wrestling, and ESPN had baseball for so long, and now they punted them to the side, even though now they own Major League Baseball TV, so you got to get it through ESPN. Yeah, it's a disgrace. I mean, come on. And you know me, I'm a baseball diehard, so Danhausen rules. Should I know who Danhausen is? I don't know. Just drawing blanks. Uh-oh. I used to watch a lot of Man U, Wayne Rooney. Oh, wait. So I skipped Sean's comment. I'm sorry, Sean. So I say the attention span like myself would rather watch La Liga and Premier League than football than Major League Baseball. Oh, wow. Really, Sean? And even with the new rule changes? I'm a little surprised. Listen, I know baseball before the rule changes were rough. The shift, the length of these games. Yankees Red Sox was 4 hours, and that was a 9-inning game. But I still watched it. I loved it. But I love what they've done. And for you to think that, wow. All right. Listen, baseball is number one in my heart. And to me, I've said it before, I'll say it again. At its best and highest form, nothing beats baseball. The NFL can't even top it. I'm sorry. That's not even clickbait or rage bait. That's just truth. Because, as I've said before, and I'll say it again, I got to take this from Mike Francesa, so I didn't come up with this. The 14-pitch at bat in May is not the same in October. That's it. Because, yeah, when you have a 14-pitch at bat in October, let's say a game 5, it's Yankees-Dodgers World Series. Game 5, Yankees down 3-2 in the bottom of the 8th, and Edwin Diaz is in there, and he's pitching Aaron Judge, and it's just foul after foul after foul. The NFL can't top that. Sorry. Cannot, underline, cannot, in big, bold caps. You can fight me all you want on that. MLB needs to develop more talents like Willie McGee, Rick Anderson, Sales Dan, for example. Wow, you came up with 3. Willie McGee, who was a Yankee farmhand, was the MVP of the 85 season, switch hitter, speedy. And Cesar Cedeno, Astros, later on with the Cardinals, very good player. Well, and you know what that goes back to? The representation of African Americans that not many play baseball. So, because think about it. Who's the next Willie Mays, if you want to look at it from that regard? Even who's the next Willie McCovey, that left-handed hitting slugger that's African American? I mean, off the top of my head, the last guy that I can remember was Mo Vaughn, and that's in the 90s. And listen, he didn't have anything close to the career that Willie McCovey had. McCovey was a stretch. McCovey was a first baseman in San Francisco Giants, 60s into the 70s, hit 521 career home runs. Yeah, I mean, inner cities, they got to try to produce more players like that. And sadly, baseball is way down the pecking order. Teams Yankees played in order: Marlins, Athletics, Angels, Rays, Royals, Red Sox. Yeah, and to think they lost a back 2 against the Athletics. They got swept by the Rays in between that because they lost 5 in a row going to that Angel series. No, that's a lie. They lost the final game to the Athletics. They got swept in Florida. Then they lost the first game to the to the Angels, and then they lost. They won the next 2 games, the Yankees did. And then the Angels won that final game. because Mike Trout hit 5 home runs in that series. So, but yeah, no, the Yankee schedule's been a joke. And look, the Mets now, they've been on the West Coast. This is their second time. And they actually close out their West Coast trips, I think, in the early part of June. But remember, that's a lie. This is the third time they've been there because they went to San Francisco in the opening week. Then they went to, because of St. Louis, San Francisco. Then they played in LA against the Dodgers before going to Chicago. And then now, here they are. They went to Anaheim, Colorado. After this, they're going to go to Arizona. And then they're going to conclude by going back out there because they got to play the Padres. And I think another team, they go to Seattle, if I'm not mistaken. All by June. So, Bengals have never won a Super Bowl. They have not. They're 0-3. Bengals been a Super Bowl, never won. That is correct. They lost twice to the Niners and obviously to the Rams 4 years ago. ESPN's to deal with them. Yeah, and MLB it's MLB TV. So to get that package, you got to go through ESPN to buy it because they bought that. Like, they didn't buy MLB Network similar to the NFL, but they bought the MLB TV app package, however you want to call it. Oh, you don't, Sean? All right. Oh, this will be interesting. Denovis. I love baseball. It's America's pastime, but it doesn't hit the same anymore. I feel you, Denovis. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's America's pastime, but it's past its time because you can't get enough of the NFL for most people. And I love the NFL too, but you know how my stance on that. And in the NBA, it's more about players than teams because I think a lot of these young kids, you know, they follow Wemby and guys like Jokic and Luka, and that's not to say that they don't have favorite teams, but you know, it's the name on the back of the jersey, not the front of it. Man, it's Fubier today, Michigan 40. Wow, really? Yeah, I think it's about 70 now. We're close to it. 69 feels like 62, but it's raining. That's not good. And yesterday, it was almost 80. I think it hit 80 here in New York yesterday. Mahomes and Stafford and anyone else. Oh, yeah, that's for bio. And yeah, no, you said top 3. I know Stafford's won a Super Bowl. I got to give it up. No doubt. Stafford has that advantage to his rookie season. I feel it coming. Uh-oh. Michael Harris III might be the best African-American outfielder. Yeah, he's had a big year to start. Let me see. You may be right about that. If I had to guess, yeah, I couldn't even tell you. I know. Josh, he's not an outfielder. Josh Bell, you could probably count him on one hand, sad to say, of the amount of African-American baseball players that are in the sport today. Jazz Chisholm is Bahamian. Josh Bell, Michael Harris. Yeah, I'd have to think long and hard. Xavier Edwards on the Marlins. Infielder. No, that's a good one. Yes, very good. James Wood. Yeah, he's really good. 6'7", that guy, he's a stud, that kid. You know what? There it is. Fuqua, you may be right about that because Harris has more years. And wasn't he a former Rookie of the Year, if I'm not mistaken? But this kid, James Wood, is a good one, bio. I should have thought about that. He plays in the same division. Where's kids? Oh, she's going over there. Yeah, you're right. Mark, you're putting your money on the Bengals. Yeah, if Burrow is healthy, I could see that. Oh, you didn't feel the earthquake. All right. Sorry to get chocolate milk for work. That's all right, guys. That's right. I hear you, Jay. MLB has too much commitment to the 3-run homer, no kind of situational. Oh, of course. Yeah, and that's all taught in the minor leagues. You know why? Because it's all about 3 things. Well, more than that, but the 3 things they look for. The home run, the strikeout, the walk. That's it. They care more about exit velocity, launch angle, all these nonsense analytics that, to me, means absolutely squat. Because you mentioned Willie McGee earlier. This is 41 years ago, I understand. Look at that St. Louis Cardinal team. And you mean to tell me that, oh, they couldn't play in this day and age baseball because they don't have power? They had one guy that hit home runs, Jack Clark. They don't have power. They hit to contact. And what else? There's another asset. They don't have power, don't hit the contact. And they don't even look at batting average, where Willie McGee hit 351 that year. Look that up. I believe he hit 351. He hit 10 home runs. He didn't hit a lot of home runs. And Tommy Herr, I think that year also hit 8 home runs and drove in 108 that year. Why? Here's your top of the order. Vince Coleman, Willie McGee, Tommy Herr, Jack Clark. Ozzie Smith batted 8th, and I think that year he may have batted, if I had to take a guess, he wasn't a great hitter, but he became a better hitter over his career. And Ozzie Smith was good speed. Terry Pendleton, because they played in a big ballpark on that AstroTurf, they felt speed, stolen bases, manufacture runs. Put it this way, if you had a team like that in this day and age, I understand the ballparks are a lot smaller, whatever. Why can't a team like that thrive in Major League Baseball? Why? Because they don't hit home runs? They don't? No, if you had contact hitters, case in point, and I'll give you the 85, would you rather have a ton of sluggers, mash 1 million home runs, but strike out 1 million times in the postseason? Or would you rather have, I'm not going to say 9 guys like this, or would you rather have 5 or 6 guys hit like Ichiro Suzuki? Get on base, steal bases. I understand you need home runs. You're not going to, but if you manufacture runs, know how to sacrifice, situational hitting, all that, come on. Oh, but there's a shift because you can play the shortstop at second base. Nonsense. If you're that good of a hitter, you'll find a hole. I don't know. They try to reinvent the game, and that's the same thing with the NBA with the three-point shot. Kick it out. Threes. All these teams do it. No, back to the basket. Let's play low block. Let's have a mid-range game. Let's, the guys like DeMar DeRozan and, other guys who have a good mid-range game. That's a lost art. You don't see it anymore. Kawhi Leonard is another one, for example, has a very good mid-range game. Please. Fuqua is your profile pic for the movie Panther. I got to see that. Because Fuqua, I know he has to change that up. Rams, Bengals, Chiefs, Eagles, 49ers, Pats, Seahawks, the only teams to make Super Bowl in the last 5 years. Yeah, it's wide open. Well, it's funny. It's not as wide open as you think because those are the teams that have been in the Super Bowls. But it's crazy because there's a lot more competitive balance because you'll see a lot of teams, Jacksonville and teams like that, Chicago. Now they're a big market. I get it. Fishing Angel, we feel earthquakes in out. Yeah. We freak out when it rains, though. Oh, man, that's the one thing. I could drive in the rain, zigzag in and out, but yeah, that's too much. I can imagine one drop of rain and forget about it. Bumper to bumper. Numbers don't add up. More blacks playing in baseball. Just look at the Reds roster. Oh, don't tell me 1990. We're going to go that far back there? Where Barry Larkin, Glenn Braggs, I believe, was on that team. Wait, right now, the only guys on the team, if I had to think, on the Reds. Remember Tommy Herr driving in? Yeah. 8 homers and over 100 RBIs. A rare feat, that's for sure. Give me another team, I'll look. I don't know. If I give you another team, we don't feel earthquakes because where we live in Michigan, we don't. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Jack Clark was a Dodger villain for sure. Cards and Giants. Yes, he was. He did play for the Giants prior to that. Why do you freak out by when it rains? Uh-oh. I was glued to my TV, 84, 85. Oh, yeah, please. I couldn't stop watching sports then. Give me the most Caucasian MLB team. I bet the numbers don't add up. Oh, I don't know. Jeez. Most Caucasian? You have Justin Crawford now. Is he still up with the Phillies? Phillies are mostly Caucasian. I mean, I know they had Jose Alvarado and Christopher Sanchez and guys like that, but analytics ruined the game, and now it's ruined the broadcast with all the useless data they push. I know it's Zip. Spot on. Great for you. Oh, thank you, Sean. I appreciate that. People are so used to the sun. Whenever it rains out here, everybody starts driving crazy. Brutal. No, today. All teams today. Listen, we can break that down next week if you want. Or maybe even tomorrow, Mark. I'll be on tomorrow. Next podcast coming at you. You know the deal. It's the same when it snows here. People drive crazy. We've been closer to. Oh, yeah. Black Swan playing baseball. I'll say they're not, but there's got to be what? It's got to be less than 5% in Major League Baseball. Let me see if I can type that up real quick. How many? Oh, no. Let's take that back. What's the percentage? Players today. All right. As of opening day 2026, the percentage of black players on Major League active and inactive rosters are 6.8. I said 5. This figure includes 64 black players on opening day rosters. Yeah, it's not good. You wish there were more. You wish there were more. It's like people don't know what common sense is anymore when they're driving. Oh, I believe that. Ugh. It's not Google will do you wrong again. Oh, it's not? Well, listen, this is all I can base it on. Oh, Rock Carew, forget it. And Ichiro, absolutely. Oh, okay. And when you think about it in baseball, the first guy that comes to mind is Ron Washington. I'm sure there's a few others, but that makes sense. Oh, here we go. I'm sure a Google Boy comment will come out shortly from Mark. Yeah, let me see. Is there anything else? Google lies. All right, Mark. Yeah, I think that's all I got. Yeah, so no best team in baseball right now. Listen, you want to say the Yankees, you could say that. By record, it's the Braves. There's half game better than the Yankees. Cubs 24-12. I mean, you know. All right, let me get ready to wrap up here. Unless there's anything else that just came down the pike. Pike or pipe? Pipe. No, that's it. Yeah, there it is. And beat out for game 2. Boy, that puts a damper on it. New video on the channel Friday. Hope everybody dug the one that I put up last week on the Dodgers ruining baseball, which we know they're not. It's the system. And even on Obio, we got it not back and forth, but I know you mentioned the system, but system from a standpoint of ceiling and floor. But yeah, I'm going to talk about, does MLB need a salary cap? And yeah, pretty much with the same people that I talked to that day. And I'm also thinking, I know, Zip, you said you're going to Citi Field next Saturday. I will probably go out to Citi Field Friday, not to the game, but before the game. With some new questions. I'll probably keep the sports rigged because that's always a lightning bolt for controversy. And yeah, some other questions that will be a little bit more common as I go back out there. And I also plan to go out in Manhattan, which I may post for those here in the tri-state area who want to come out because, yeah, we could debate, banter back and forth the whole 9. So definitely keep that in mind. But that's going to come. And then tomorrow, the podcast pregame, 9:45, you already know. Followed up by the latest edition of the podcast, 11 a.m., you already know. And, here's Navin, who posted a comment, LeBron over MJ. And he even said, what about LeBron? Navin, I appreciate you hopping on board, even though I'm going to sign off in a couple of minutes. I spilled Coca-Cola on a joint today, let it dry spot a few days later. I can't let the results were not bad. That's a good one. I like to look at the mounting black to white players actually playing this. Okay. You don't use Google. You won't use Google. All right. So you just, I guess then you're just going to, how are you going to look up the rosters? Unless you have a baseball encyclopedia that just came out 5 minutes ago. All you got to do is watch you got to watch every game if you're going to watch all the teams, and not all those players are going to play. You got to look up the rosters to see who's up there, Mark. No? I'm sure you go to ESPN.com and go through every roster that way. So, yeah, you don't need Google. Just go to that. So, but anyway, with that being said, my good people, I'm going to sign off. I'm actually starving. I got to eat. But much appreciate you all. You know the drill. in the blood and the DNA. Talking Sports is birth. Hopefully, I'll see you guys 9:45 as well as 11 a.m. On top of that, thank you, Fishing Angel. I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody who jumps in every week on this live stream. Peace, love, and God bless. Enjoy the rest of your hump day. See you guys and gals tomorrow. Enjoy sports tonight. Go sports. You already know the deal. Until next time, on the flip.